Welcome back, everyone. We're here, another Basic Bogeys episode. Today, we got a new company joining us. We have Marty from Trouble Off the Tee. Welcome, Marty. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, TJ. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, give us a quick little intro about just who you are and about the company.
All right. So I'm a lawyer by trade. I do criminal defense as the sort of day job, pays the bills. So anything from traffic tickets, DUIs, all the way to murder. So I've
Damn,
seen quite,
Jeez.
yeah, yeah,
it's awesome.
some heavy shit, Gary. Get
I
ready.
love it. Buckle the
Buckle
fuck
up, man.
up. Here we go.
Buckle up, man. All right, so I was also a journalism major in college, and I always liked to write.
Hmm.
And I had a choice when I was done with college, go to law school or take a job with a local newspaper and live in my parents' basement. So I went to law school. I still think it's a smart choice.
Hey, yeah.
But I always wanted to write, and that kind of that desire was kind of always there and always in the background. And then a while ago, I finally said, all right, it's time. I sat down and I started writing. And I first started with a couple of like courthouse style, stories. And,
Mhm.
I was a young lawyer and I thought, oh, everything I'm doing is so fucking cool. Everyone's gonna love
So
this.
edgy.
Yeah, so edgy. Well, it turns out there's a few other writers who have done stuff like that before. One guy named John Grisham, might have heard of him.
Oh,
So, a little bit into these stories, I decided this isn't it. I need something unique, and I scrapped it. And I played golf, but not. It was golf was an excuse for 18 beers back then.
right.
And then
Mhm.
I took a trip to Pebble Beach with my dad and kind of it sounds really cliche, but I found the love of the game out there. And
Mhm.
my dad shot an 89 at Pebble Beach. I mean, I
Wow.
might have shot
Yeah.
180, but
Yeah.
it was just the most amazing time. And then we played Spyglass the next day, and
Nice.
just I came home with this new love for the game and I couldn't get enough of it. Reading about it and practicing, finally taking some lessons and figuring out how to play a little bit. And then it kind of hit me, what would be cool to write about is golf. And then I started doing some research, and most stories about golf are pretty cookie cutter and whimsical and convenient, predictable, you name it, very PG. And my experience in the courthouse, representing people charged with criminal offenses has given me a really different perspective on life. I've seen all walks of humanity. I've seen evil. I've seen the capacity for greatness, compassion. And what I did was I took all those sort of feelings and a lot of the poor decisions that clients of mine have made over the years, and I turned them into a character who just happened to be an elite golfer, and his name was Lincoln Ross, and he cannot stay out of his own fucking way. And so I wrote this book, and it all started with a book. And if you want to give it a listen, it's available on Spotify. I make $1.25 if you actually listen to it. So please, about 300,000 of you, go
we'll
ahead and give it a
we'll link, I'm
listen.
sure this whole little thing will be a reel. We'll link it there, right there. There
All
you go.
right, sounds great. So, right about the time I was done with the book and it was being edited, my best friend Dan and I we were at Golf Galaxy just looking for some new gear, and we were going around and I was like, man, this stuff sucks. No shade on Jordan Spieth, but fucking Under Armour golf gear is tired. It is lame, and it still costs 120 bucks a shirt. So the
Right.
idea
Yeah.
to the idea to start a golf apparel company was sort of hatched in the parking lot at Golf Galaxy, born on the ethos of my character Lincoln Ross, who is elite but can't get out of his own fucking way. So yeah, there you have it. That's how it got started.
Damn.
I know. Cheers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but that's such a unique like way. It's so cool that like golf is the glue that brought both like those kind of careers together almost, and like
Hmm.
to have the mental fortitude, but also like the creativity to do that. That's like That's pretty sick. My
Thank you,
fiance is
Jake.
a big reader, and I gotta do a lot of driving this week. So maybe I'll buy it. I'll definitely buy it, but maybe I'll throw it on in the car and
Thank you.
listen to it on
Make
that way.
sure there's no kids in the car. I've
That's okay. Are you
I've
kidding
been
me? Come on.
I've been told it's like 50 Shades of Golf. So you can use your imagination.
What's your interpretation of a sand trap? That's what I want to know.
I'll leave that to you guys.
So okay, so when did the book come out? When did you do that?
About a year ago, well, a little more, about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
January of 2024.
Okay,
But
that's sweet.
the brand was kicking before then, and this is
Okay.
where it gets even more fun, because I started this basically it was just me, and turns out going to law school doesn't teach you how to launch an apparel company. So there were some fuck ups along the way that man do I look back on and regret. But I learned a lot from everything. And it was a great journey. And about a year ago, I was able to hook up with a couple of new partners that actually knew what they were doing in retail and brand building. And they live right in my community in New Albany, Ohio. One of them was at Abercrombie and Fitch for 15 years. The other one was at Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret for another 10 years. So
Damn.
I've been able recently, within the last year, to get some real experience behind this. I'm an idea guy. You know, I come up with
Mhm.
ideas and I have no idea the practical implications as to, you know, what it takes to get this number of this number of stitches on the hat. How much does that cost? How much to get the ball marker sewn in? I don't fucking know. But Luke and Danielle do. And it's great because I finally have a team and I feel like we're building some momentum and we're
Mhm.
small enough right now, but yet we're still agile and we can come up with new ideas and try to implement them right away without going through layers upon layers.
Yeah,
And that's
cool.
fun.
Yeah. And I think one of the coolest parts, I listened to some of the book, but I think the coolest part is the narrator is Jake
Oh,
Adams from Country Club Adjacent because he is
yeah.
probably, I mean, those guys are hilarious, but
Right.
Oh my
having
God.
like that type, like it's the perfect voice, and anybody that knows him, it's like it just flows,
Yeah. So
flows perfectly with it,
how
you
that
know?
came about is when it was all done and I'm deciding, okay, how do I get this out to the masses? And I
Mhm.
realized this story is more for the podcast people, the drivers to work every day.
Yeah.
It's not really a sit on your bed at 10 o'clock at night and read a little bit. It really isn't. Some people do enjoy it, but I wanted it to appeal to everybody. And then I thought, well, why not get a voice that already has some street cred? And maybe that'll help a little bit. And I just literally sent Jake a DM, and I thought I was being so clever. I said, "Hey Jake, who do I talk to about endorsement deals for you? Do you have an agent?" I said, "Who's your agent, Jake?" And he wrote back, "What's up?" And I was like, "All right, Jake, I got something." And he was like, "Okay, I'm interested." And I sent him a manuscript because at that point it was just printed out at FedEx.
Mhm.
And he read it in 2 days, called me back and said he was in.
That's
And
Awesome.
so fucking cool.
and I don't want to take any of Jake's vibe or thunder from this because I'm sure he would admit this, but he was struggling at first when he started narrating it.
Mhm.
And you know, he told me he's like, "Ah, this will take me, you know, a couple 3 weeks." Well, week 4, I send him a text. I go, "Hey Jake, how's it going?" And he goes, "Marty, I'll call you in a minute." So he calls me back and I go, "How's it going?" And he's like, "Well, it was going really shitty until yesterday. I didn't like any of the takes. I just didn't like how my voice sounded. I wasn't digging it. I wasn't digging the vibe. And then yesterday I smoked some weed before I started recording." And
That's
he said
awesome.
at that point, so you know the entire book is narrated, Jake's to a degree stone.
That's
And
so just that's the icing right there, baby.
I
That's
know
fucking
it's
awesome.
fucking great. It's fucking great. It's
Yeah.
great.
I
And
mean,
so my partner's Luke. Sorry, TJ, but
no.
Luke and Danielle, when they first came on, they were a little weary of this side of the brand because it's hard to imagine the PGA Superstore putting a hat, in their store that's based on a character doing cocaine off a toilet seat. So they were a little worried. This is I get my free reign with you guys. I get to talk about it, and but I don't know if Golf Galaxy calls it, we might have to delete these.
Be a good reason to. No,
Yeah.
it's gosh, that's so funny. But it's funny that you talk about the take stuff though, because we've talked about it before. But so I'm a musician and a recording artist, and TJ's a manager of a recording studio. So there's been plenty of times where I'm in the studio and I sing something that I wrote, and I'm like, this is absolute ass. Like, let's go back and redo it. And I know TJ's been in there and be like, that's really bad. Redo it.
I mean,
whatever.
I've done a bunch of audiobooks over the years, and even like scripted stuff too. Like when you think of like an author reading their audiobook, there usually is it takes them a bit to get into it. People that do voiceover nail it. But someone like Jake that does stand up, like he's not used to just reading a script really, he just shoots whatever he's thinking. And it's kind of similar. Like I did quite a few sessions with Tim Tebow for a while. He was playing here on the Syracuse Mets. He was so bad at reading these scripts off because he's someone that just speaks from the heart. Like it's great having his voice, but like he's probably never read scripts like that before.
Yeah.
And getting in that mindset and then finally figuring it out and knocking it out, and you couldn't even tell that it was however many takes it was. Like he nailed it once he got with these takes that it released.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't know if Tim Tebow had any jazz cigarettes to help him. But, I know that he.
It seems unlikely. I'd probably bet against that. I wonder what his handicap is. Do you think he plays? I'm sure he plays golf.
He's got to.
Yeah, those guys.
Have you ever seen that? One of my favorite all-time clips. I know we're getting sidetracked, but I think it was they were taping College Game Day, and it was Pat McAfee, and he was going up to. They were in like this little hitting, like a driving range bay, and Tim lined up to hit it, and he crushed it. And McAfee goes, Jesus, and he goes, Jesus, and as Tim's holding his follow through, it goes, loves you. And it is like the funniest clip I've ever. And McAfee loses it. It is one of my favorite fucking clips. It's so quick. It's just right there.
It is.
Like, Jesus loves you. I'm like, okay, all right, buddy.
He definitely has an MO that's about him that works for him.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't like the book or the brand, but nah, I don't need Tim Tebow. I'd take him.
So with your so is the company's Trouble Off a T, right? Or is that just
Yes?
Okay,
yes,
I just wanted to make sure.
Trouble Off T, the book, the brand, you name it.
Cool. So what do you guys? I was looking a little bit. I saw you guys mostly do hats. Is that like
so
your kind of your big thing?
This goes back to one of the fuck ups that I had a while back. So when I first started the company, I thought I could do everything all at once. So I had 2 hats, a couple hoodies, a few polos, and it was like, all right, you've got a website, and it seemed too disjointed. It wasn't there. So and I couldn't get any momentum because maybe one item was working and 3 items weren't. And apparently that's what it is in retail. You get a huge percentage of sales from a few items, and it carries everything else.
Right.
So I didn't have the right mindset on it. And when Luke and Danielle came in, Luke's idea, his great idea, and I love it, was let's win at hats first. Let's get some customer loyalty. Let's get some recognition, because no one's going to buy a $90, $80 polo from a company they've never heard of, no matter how cool it looks on an Instagram story. But dudes will buy a hat for $30 if they think it looks cool and give it a try.
Yeah. You're goddamn
Let's give it a try. Yeah.
Goddamn right.
We came up with some, I have a lot of hats too. We came up with some kind of unique features. So we've got the sewn-in ball marker right here, the magnet. I don't know if you can see it there, but the great thing is you can't see it.
Yeah.
So this hat plays on and off the course. You got your magnet right here, and you can put it underneath if you'd like. And we also have Trouble Off the Tee Spotify playlists.
Oh, sick.
So
Wow.
you're on the course. You want to tee up your tunes, flip over your hat, and we've got different playlists for the vibes. You got your gangster rap, you got your country, you got classic rock. We've got all genres of playlists. As long as you're a Spotify subscriber, takes you right to it.
Dude.
And the playlists are about 6 hours long, so you're never going to run out of songs on the course. Yeah, it's something trying to be unique. You got to stand out in this industry, because if you don't, you're just going to get swallowed up by everybody else.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of competitors out there, and a lot of them are great, and I admire a lot of the stuff some of the other brands do. But I'm trying to be unique in the space.
Yeah, I mean everyone kind of does the polos, but not everyone's into the hats. Like I think that's brilliant to do that. Certainly,
Margin isn't great in the hats, but you gotta walk, or you gotta crawl before you can walk.
Yeah, but again, you're getting that brand out there and getting that, like, I mean, people that are like having the Spotify, like that's something I never would have thought about, because now like you're getting other people that are like they're telling stories on the course with their hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not just, oh, what's that logo you're wearing? There's that next step to the story to kind of keep that conversation going about the brand.
By the way, check this out.
Yeah.
Whoa, you got a playlist?
Thanks for watching today's episode.
To see more of our content, be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube. We can be found at Basic Bogeys on all platforms.
Thanks. We hope to see you on the next one.